Hello and welcome back to The Motivating Force. Joining me today we have host Sway, an aspiring Marine Corps officer who's finishing up ROTC and his bachelor's in the criminal justice field. And myself, Justin, a motivational speaker who's always more than excited to share all of our wonderful topics with you guys. So today we are going to be talking about the ease of information. More so what we decide to consume and consider to be some intellectual knowledge from people who are extremely intellectual, and we take what they say for gold. And where do we find these resources? Instagram, Facebook, Google. So let's jump right into it.
Okay, so when you're talking about getting information from like celebrities, right? That's the whole premise of this, is that we're trusting those people that we like or that we just follow because they're famous. We're going to be assuming that everything that they say is fact, or that they've done the research. We're trusting that they've done the research, so whatever they say, we should just consume like if it's true.
We can see back in the 70s and 80s the rise of popularity with using celebrities for it kind of started off where we used them with things like advertisements, aside from just the movies they played in or the shows they were on. And, we decided, it's a likable face. It's a familiar face. People know this person. So we're going to get them on these advertisements. So we started there. And then over the years, as things progress, we've changed that to, getting on that ease of information side where everything on the internet now, on the phone, you have Instagram, you got Facebook, you got all these stories and reels and live videos, and people are seeing these posts from all these celebrities who they're familiar with, on here talking about their opinions on a lot of things. And they kind of come through and make it like it's a fact.
But you also have the side of the argument where people will get mad at those influencers or celebrities, if you want to call them that when they try to give those opinions, it's almost like they don't believe it. So then you have the people that argue in the comments, or they just troll the celebrity saying like that they're sellouts because of that same example that before we associated celebrities preaching opinions because of the advertisement, like somebody was paying them off to say something or promote products or opinions, and lean left, lean right, where like do you understand what I'm trying to say? Like that we are assuming that they're sellouts now because advertisement money?
Yeah, I mean that could be a good point too, definitely. Where we do kind of have that bias nowadays to think of celebrities in that light where everything they say is a promotion or promotional.
Yeah.
So then when they come on and they want to talk about sensitive topics or politics or just anything, right? Even fitness advice. And we can assume that, they're just pushing a product. They're just promoting these things. They're just getting paid to say what they want to say.
Yeah.
And this can stifle some of the information out there as far as celebrities who really do have that pure heart, that good agenda to like get out there and do something with themselves, right? I mean, what else are you going to do once you're a millionaire, Some people fall down rabbit holes and other people kind of do want to go into the philanthropical side of things and really get out there and do the greater good.
Neil deGrasse Tyson, guy that I always flaunt that I read his work, and I'm a big fan of his, but now he's become this like celebrity, and he's gained this popularity in pop culture because he's on like TV shows. So now it's almost like we're discrediting the knowledge that he has or his experience in that field of being an astrophysicist because now he's a celebrity.
On that flip side, we do see where we devalue a lot of those things, and we do have those people, like the guy that comes to my mind with that, of course, Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
The same thing. He's a psychologist, world-renowned psychologist. I mean, more years studied than I've been alive for.
Yeah. And I believe he's one of the handful of people that aren't comedians that have been on Rogan like 3 times or more than 3 times.
Yeah.
Which that's a big thing. So.
Yeah. But he's hated now for his work and what he does because of gaining popularity, and then people put him in a celebrity light. He never wanted to be a celebrity. He's just done what he's done, and he just does his best to speak the truth on what he knows.
Yeah, to go on one of the reasons why he's hated, it's actually because of one of those Rogan interviews that he said something kind of not politically correct, but it's like he believed it to be a fact, so he just said it without thinking of the repercussions. And then, of course, because Rogan's such a giant platform, it tends to lead to, problems.
Yeah.
So then he's kind of, what's that word, infamous in a sense because of what happened.
Yeah, but that's the thing that's kind of the point that I'm trying to get at is we see real experts, real people who have studied these things, and we shun them, we put them down because they don't know how to say it the way that we're used to receiving information, which is that sugar-coated, celebrity style, everything sunshine and rainbows way. Whereas you get these people who are hard in their work, make great advancements, and become popular because of it. And especially in something like the world of psychology, where today we really need that more than ever because we're trying to kind of turn that on its head.
Well, speaking of getting that ease of information and facts, we're used to getting celebrities and influencers just reading Wikipedia and WikiFacts or whatever. And that's the kind of information we're used to getting. And then that keeps going down this snowball effect where one influencer will call out another source, which just happens to be another celebrity who read it on Wikipedia. So then the news or the fact that they're telling us kind of loses substance, and it's not true. So after a while, it's like you're going to them for facts, but they're just spewing words at you that aren't true.
Yeah, it's like jumping from one fake source to another fake source and seeing contradiction and not knowing which way to go, when obviously the real way is finding real information on things if you really care.
And that brings up this question that I was going to ask you, so then we can kind of clear our table real quick. What do you think separates us from being that influencer? Let's try to convince the people that are listening instead of them pointing fingers and going, well, you guys are doing the same thing. We're not, and this is why.
So I appreciate that. Not a setup, but that was a question you did pose to me when this idea was brought up. So I did save some notes just in case if you did want to hit me with that. So here's the lowdown on that when we talk about podcasting. There are really two types of podcasts that people are going to listen to when it comes to trying to receive information. You're going to have ones where, of course, Joe Rogan being a mixed bag, so easy example, but he'll bring in experts on things like Jordan Peterson, and he will just ask them questions, kind of guide a conversation that's really being administered or ran by the expert. So that way that the expert can come on and share his knowledge and awaken some people.
Yeah.
And then you have the other type of podcasting when it comes to informational, which is kind of more of that category that we kind of subside into, which is motivational. I mean, it's kind of in the title. I hope you guys have noticed that by now. And it's that self-help side of things. So, I mean, what does it mean to be an expert in self-help?
Yeah.
Right? So we don't come on here to really state things as facts, as hard evidence research. We like to point in directions from ideas and topics and theories that help get the brain going. So for people like us who do more of the self-help motivational podcasting, what we do is we take ideas to the forefront of people's minds that they can use to help better themselves. We get that fire started, which is why we've been laying that fire underneath everybody's ass since 2020.
Correct.
Part of our slogan, right? And it's to really drive home some really generic points that people tend to not think about.
Well, I was going to say that the points that are research driven in discussions that we've had are research heavy, and it's not just spewing out Wikipedia at people. I was going to try to get that point out of you, where it's instead of just reading 1 or 2 pages off Wikipedia, we're taking 10 hours of research and compressing it into 30 minutes so then people can understand it. Because we do have examples in previous episodes, especially when we talk about nutrition, that we do talk about like scientific studies, and we like quote it. We put it in the description so then people can go and read the actual article, do more research off of what we've already given them.
Yeah, that's a good point to bring home too, because for things that we do actually do heavy research on, when you do go that way with it, and we do come out here and we state things as facts, like this is how this works, these are statistics, these are the numbers. And it's the same thing where people are like, oh, I saw this on Instagram, Facebook, I Googled it. Well, what people don't realize is when you actually go on Google, there's a whole section of it for scientific journals. And you go and you open them up for whatever you researched, and it's going to pull you up a really, really long document of some really intense information. And you almost have to, Control F, a little find feature there, and type in the things you're actually looking for inside of that research paper. But I feel that's a point that a lot of people can miss on, is they want to go, and I know we've mentioned it before actually, and I don't remember what the number was, but it was something crazy like 50% of YouTube searches are people looking for answers. So people aren't on YouTube like, haha, funny cat video. People are like, hey, how do I fix my drain sink? How do I get in shape?
Well, yeah, I was going to say a lot of it's how to. Like you have, I've had family that straight up say, hey, you don't know how to make that, or you don't know how to put something together, just YouTube it.
Exactly.
They have a video for everything.
So it's like, it's crazy how we use the YouTube for the Google means. And then, of course, now Google going towards that whole front page being a list of sponsored ads towards the documents you're looking for. You can get into that scientific journal side of it and really explore some of that information that you guys are really seeking after. But that's where I wanted to bring up that point where we just kind of help guide people in that direction. And on things that we are research heavy on, we stand behind that because of what we do with self-help, self-improvement. It's literally in our job description.
Yeah, there are some things that we need to be like factual on. We have to be able to back it up. So that's why we do certain research to then call it out and then give that as an example for you guys to do more research from that point. We give you enough to like light the fire that you're mentioning. And then from that moment on, it's on you to continue the rest of the work and the rest of the research.
And that's why our first book is taking so damn long, because I sit down to write it and compile all this information we have, and I get scared, I get nervous, because I think to myself, people are going to read this and people are going to believe every word that's in it. And I don't think that in the way that I'm going to get called out for something. I think that in the way of responsibility. Like, we have a responsibility to not only put the most accurate information for the time in there, but to really make sure that it's going to have that positive impact, because people can hold on to these things and apply some principles that we might talk about for a lifetime. And even if it's like inaccurate research or something, like that's not even the big issue. The big issue for me personally is I don't want to lead people down a bad path.
Yeah, and that's a great transition too, because another point that I wanted to bring up was that since you broke up the two different styles of podcast for this, and since we're under that self-help and motivational side of podcasting, a lot of it as well is in personal experience. So some of the things that we talk about, we're living it. It's not that, we saw some influencer doing it, so we're going to be like, that's the way to go. If we tried it, you're trying carnivore and you're preaching great things about it because you're experiencing those positive side effects or those positive effects from it.
Oh, it definitely.
So what I'm trying to say is that it kind of helps support what we're telling people. We're living it. We're getting to see both, like, all ends of the spectrum of what can come from a certain topic or a certain exercise routine or nutritional dietary plan, whatever it is. A lot of it is research, but then there's a lot that comes from in-life experience. And that separates it from ease of
access.
Ease of access, like information.
That is actually a really good point, because like I do the research myself for carnivore well before I did anything on it. And then from, of course, the research I get, I put it into practice, and then I see the results from it. And then if they're great, obviously, as I've said, they are great. You've mentioned it. It's great. And I'm here to tell everybody, hey, man, give it a try. And what I don't have to worry about is the research that I've done personally on it because I'm not on here talking about the research. I'm just talking about my results and how it's helped me. And this is how it's kind of a double-edged sword, because a lot of celebrities or a lot of influencers can kind of get away with this type of misinformation because they can just come on and easily throw the blanket over the top of information and say, well, this is just my personal experience.
Yeah.
Or this is how I feel.
This is always going to be the result when you're doing this. This is always going to be the flavor you should strive for. Like, nonsense. Then they're preaching that to hundreds of thousands of people when we know firsthand that even something simple like carnivore diets or vegan diet, keto that you were on as well, everybody's going to have a completely different result.
A good point to kind of bring back to the table with that, and especially with doing carnivore, kind of being on that topic there, is you have people, the majority of people who are super against it. And for oh, well, what about your cholesterol? What about your HDL, your LDL, all these things? What about your blood sugar level? Yeah, guess what? Your blood sugar level, in the tank. Your HDL and your LDL, to the sky. Two things that are thought of by real experts, real scientists, to be a really bad thing for you. There's people who have done carnivore for 10 plus years and have seen nothing but positivity. There's people who have illnesses that have been otherwise deemed uncurable, cured. So taking everything in with that grain of salt, when we talk about the information that people are out there trying to consume and find things on, you need to take that grain of salt with it, unless you're on carnivore because you're not allowed to eat salt. But it's kind of this idea of like, we now have so many different sources of information that, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing?
Well, I like that you're bringing up that there's so many different sources that you can go to find whatever it is that you're seeking, just because it's quick and easy. And you think that they're like, if you were to assume that we're doing our job and we're researching and giving you all the facts that, we took hours compiling and then putting together for you, that's just to light the fire. Like, that needs to be ingrained in everybody listening to this. You have to go out and continue to do more work. Just because you watch 3 videos of people talking about COVID doesn't mean you're an expert. Read the different scientific journals and the papers that they put out, because it's constantly changing. So don't think because you watched 3 videos in June last year that you know everything about it right now, because times change and not everything's going to be that easy. That ease of information isn't going to be like a solve all.
And I think with the repetitive nature of it too sometimes, because what that just reminded me of too is on YouTube, on the front page, they have where all these big time YouTube channels have interviews with Dr. Fauci, however you want to pronounce it, right? Fauci.
Italiano.
Yeah, he's something, all right. And they have it up on the front page.
Yeah, he's a doctor.
Yeah, they have all these different YouTubers, and it's just a stream of videos of people interviewing them and asking them different questions, right? Here's the thing. People are going to go and watch all those. They're going to get all their wonderful COVID knowledge and information
from one person.
Yep. But it kind of tricks you because you think it's a multiple thing because you're listening to multiple people interview him. So you're seeing different questions, different perspectives on it. But the real source of information is still coming from one guy.
Yeah.
And I don't really care what the topic is. There's no one person you should listen to for a solid answer or point on anything in life, like at all. Because we're all human. We all have errors. We all have flaws. We all have our own biases. So just to sit there and just consume a massive amount of information from one person or even just a handful of people who are all on the same page, it's not really going to do you too well.
Well, yeah, like bringing up the Neil deGrasse Tyson point that I brought up earlier. He's an astrophysicist, right? So you think he's this genius that knows everything about the solar system. But then on his show, he'll have like other astrophysicists that you're not familiar with, just to give you more like a broader range of information. So it's not just from him, or you'll have like geologists or people doing research on the ocean, so it's different experts, but you're familiar with him. So that's why I keep bringing him up, because I think his model for that channel is very well thought out, because it's on that same principle that it's not the one source of information. And it helps people seek out different ideas from different people.
So that's definitely one trap that we would like everybody to avoid, is kind of getting all your information from one source.
Yeah.
And even if it's the source you like your most, just start there. If you come to this channel, you listen to us to get that inspiration, get that fire lit on things. We're not the end all be all on anything we talk about, that's for sure. But we want to point you in the right direction. That is, okay, so if we're going to be talking about like what's coming up on Wednesday, we're talking about the Mandela effect. Well, don't take everything we say and be like, well, that's what it is. If you're really that interested in it, get out there and see all the research on it. Get out there and see all the actual documentation, scientific journals, because again, like it blows my mind how much real information's out there. Like scientific journals, they go on, like that's got to be more content than there is on like Google combined.
Yeah.
And it's all free, and people don't use it because you open it up and it's a lot of words, and sometimes it can be a lot of jargon. It's a lot of technical terms.
Yeah, medical terms or scientific terms. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and it's a shame because it's like we want to know more,
but you don't want to do the work. That's the point I wanted to hit right after you were going to finish.
Yeah,
so.
That's where I was coming up. So go ahead, drive it home, man. Do it.
That's another thing, because if there's even something that you're interested in or you really want to find out, right? And then you start YouTubing, you start Googling, nothing's popping up for it. What's so hard for you to just do the research? Like, why can't you be the first one to make the video? Why can't you be the first one to make that scientific journal? If you're actually that interested, or, even if it's like a fleeting shower thought that you thought of something and you're like, that's interesting. I never heard anybody talk about it. Why don't you go do it yourself? Why does it have to be so easy for you to just go, oh, that's why nobody's talked about it? Or, oh, that's the answer. Be the person, to do that research and have it out there as like what we're doing.
Yeah. I mean, we're all in this together. So keep that in mind. People will be there to help you with it too. But yeah, I mean, that's definitely the point. My kind of side of that was, if you're researching something and you're seeing all this technical jargon that you don't understand, and it kind of puts people down and it kind of makes them stop, or like the reading level might seem higher, but statistically, scientific journals are only written at a 10th grade reading level.
Yeah.
Like they're meant to be comprehended. They just use the technical words. It's not like the literature and it's hard. And if you really wanted to know more about that subject enough that you're going to go and open up those types of documentations, why are you not interested enough in Googling or finding out what that technical word means?
Yeah. It's
like we want all this information, but only so much. We don't want to work too hard for it.
Well, that also helps improve the person. Like that extends your lexicon, because you're getting to learn more words as you're reading whatever it is that you're reading. I always love doing that, especially when I'm reading like these scientific books. There's words that I have no idea what they mean, and then I look it up and I'm like, okay, this is interesting, and then it sends me down another rabbit hole that I wasn't expecting just because I didn't know what a word means.
And most of the rabbit holes we go down now is just on YouTube watching funny cat videos. That leads to videos about alien abductions. That leads to videos about Snoop Dogg making cookies with, Martha Stewart.
Martha Stewart.
Oh, man. It's just, I don't know. It's something that's been really heavy on my mind. And I figured like this Monday, it'd be something I just wanted our viewers to kind of get an understanding of, is like where you get your information from can be important. But at the same time, it's, you have to understand that there's more than like one source that you should be getting it from. And a lot of times it's better to get it from sources that you might not even really agree with. Because, as we always say, what's a better way to defend an argument than to know the other side of it? I think the quote from Robert Evans is probably one of the best when it comes to this type of this concept here, and he says there's 3 sides to every story: your side, my side, and the truth. We're all going to have our biases, we're all going to have our opinions, and the more that you kind of like confirm your biases, I guess can be a good thing, can be a bad thing sometimes too. But then the more of the other side of the story you see, the more closer to that center you start getting. And the more closer to the center, that's the truth that you're really getting at.
Well, that's something we push since day one. We need to have those arguments as playing the devil's advocate. You have to be able to see where that other person's coming from, or at least try to see where that other person's coming from. You know, because a lot of arguments can be stopped just from, you know, seeing from the other person's perspective or understanding the entire topic instead of just coming in one angle. Like, this is what I heard from what'd you call him? Fauci?
Fauci, yeah.
Yeah, like, this is what I heard from this guy, or this is what this celebrity told me on Instagram. You know, so just because you're hearing those popular people's opinions, you're thinking that's right, instead of knowing the entire topic or
yeah, it's
subject.
your turn now, right?
Yeah, I was going to say subject. Instead of knowing the entire subject and, you know, coming to a consensus with whoever you're arguing with.
I think what really brought this on, what really made me think of this idea and want to kind of like pitch it towards you to have as the main forefront video was we had your brother here last week.
Oh, God.
And there's some points that outside of the podcast that we were pushing him on just for the fun of it, because that's what we do. You know, we like to have that argumentative style conversation.
Yeah, this makes total sense now because I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. And it's just, it's getting onto it where it's, and I don't blame him because of his age. He's going to grow up. He's going to get there. I mean, he's still, how old is he?
He's 14.
14. Okay. Yeah. He's not an expert in anything. He's not going to know a whole lot about everything.
Some might argue expert in TikTok.
I don't put it behind him to not know a whole lot of things about the real world.
Yeah.
But with that in mind, pushing him on some of these arguments, and it was silly, fun stuff for the most part. And he just came to the point where he just dropped it. Was like, yeah, this is too much. There's too many different things going on in my brain right now. I'm closing this out. We're done. And it's like, okay. But how many times do we have that with adults? People who are not 14, right? With him, it's all fun and games. But then it got me thinking, like, when is he going to learn that? When does it stop becoming acceptable? And I think in today's society, it never stops becoming acceptable.
Yeah, because I was at first going to say that it might have just been a generational thing where his age group, you know, everybody's just so used to like just Google answers because it's there. You know, when we were in school, we couldn't just pull out our phone and find the answer for something on a test in the middle of class. The teacher would kill us, and also phones weren't around back then.
Yeah.
This kid can be in a Zoom call and then take a test and then Google every single answer. He's not retaining that information. He's not even focusing. I'm not calling him out or anything. Like, imagine there's people in his age group that aren't even paying attention to class. So then as soon as the tests come out, they're 100%ing it. Right. Just because they're Googling everything. So it's like they're not retaining information. But then that's also a good point where now it's also adults that are seeming to come at fault for this.
Is it wrong to say that the ease of information is allowing people to not retain information? Like, because we have all these sources, right? And it's in so many different places that this ease of information, okay, well, if I can go out there and just Google it or go grab this answer from anywhere, then how much do I need to
don't need to remember because there's already a memory bank full of the answers.
Right, and it doesn't necessarily have to be yours. So is that change a bad thing? I mean, I think so.
You know where I stand on the evolution of technology and human beings. We're not ready. Jesus Christ, dude. Yeah, I think it's a terrible thing. I think that ease of information on all accounts it's making people go, okay, I don't need to focus on retaining these facts, right? Even though I'm interested in it, Google's going to have all the answers. So I can just focus all my attention and memory on something like TikTok or something like Fortnite.
Yeah, all this stuff that don't really add up to a whole lot.
Yeah, that's not giving you any, like, knowledge.
Right, because you're like, oh, I sprained my knee. What do I do about it? I'll just Google it real quick.
Yeah.
We don't have to remember it. We don't need it on the top of our brain there. But
how to change a tire or car battery. You don't need to remember that. You might, get shocked to death, or you might, blow up your car battery because you don't know how to do it. Then you'll be like, oh wait, let me just Google this.
I think the main point to drive home on this, getting closer to wrapping it up now, is with that ease of information, it's great, it's there, but it's not promised for tomorrow. And something that my dad has always taught me is the one thing that nobody can take from you is your knowledge. So hold on to that, have pride in that, grow your knowledge, and do that by actually retaining this information. Even though it's so easy, it's right there, it's at your fingertips. There might come a time when it's not. And even if you want to call me crazy for that, let's put it in a different way. If somebody's trying to learn something from you, have a conversation with you, or an argument with you, what are you going to do? You're going to sit there and pull out your phone and say, well, Google says, Google says, Google says. Or do you actually want to know something? Do you actually want to take pride in what you have up here? I think more people need to start doing that.
You know what I think more people should start doing as well?
What's that?
They should start subscribing and liking this page for starters. They should also try sharing the videos that we put out to friends and family. Get them to start lighting that fire under their buttocks.
That's actually a great idea. And getting further research on that, all you have to do is click the read more button right underneath the video, and it actually takes you to all of our social media pages. So, you can follow us on the Facebooks, on the Instagrams, and over on the Parler. I don't know how much longer Parler is going to be a thing for, but we're still there. So yeah, be sure to check it out.
Yeah, all of our videos come out Mondays and Wednesdays at 8 a.m. EST, and we're going to be pumping out those Sunday videos as much as we can. So until next time, go and get